Deep beneath our feet, there's this colossal source of power. It's clean, it's constant, and it comes from the Earth itself. It's geothermal energy. So with all that potential, why is most of this incredible resource still completely untapped? Well, let's dig in and find out.
So, let's start our journey in a place that might surprise you, Iceland. Just picture this, juicy, ripe tomatoes growing in the middle of a landscape famous for ice and fire. Now, this isn't some kind of science fiction. It's a perfect example of how a country can tap into the planet's inner heat to create something, well, pretty extraordinary. And it's a powerful hint at the potential that's just waiting all over the world.
And that brings us right to Iceland's incredible geothermal story. Because, they didn't just stop at growing tomatoes. They used this heat to transform their entire nation.
The shift was just dramatic. Before the 1970s oil crisis, Iceland was a pretty poor country, really dependent on expensive imported fossil fuels. But when that crisis hit, they made a massive choice: to look down. Literally. They started aggressively tapping into their volcanic landscape, and by doing that, they achieved true energy independence. And the impact? Well, just look at these numbers. Today, geothermal provides heating for a staggering 9 out of 10 homes in Iceland. Think about that for a second. Almost every single house is warmed by the earth. It also generates nearly a third of all their electricity, powering everything from regular homes to huge aluminum smelters. It's a complete game changer.
Okay, so Iceland is this amazing success story, for sure. But, and this is the key, it's really just the tip of the iceberg. Let's look beyond Iceland to where the world's biggest geothermal potential is just sitting there. So let's talk about Indonesia. This nation, made up of thousands of islands, sits smack dab on the Ring of Fire, a hugely active tectonic zone. And all that volatile geology makes it the undisputed king of geothermal potential. If Iceland showed us what's possible, Indonesia shows us what could be next, but on a massive scale.
The potential there is estimated to be around 29 gigawatts. Now, that is a huge number. So big it's almost hard to picture, right? But it's enough power to fundamentally change the entire country's energy future.
So let's try to wrap our heads around it. What does 29 gigawatts actually look like?
All right, let's break this down. 29 gigawatts is roughly the same power output as 29 nuclear power plants. Or if you think in terms of renewables, you'd need over 12,000 massive wind turbines to match it. And yeah, for a little fun, it's enough juice to power Doc Brown's DeLorean time machine 24 times over. Great Scott is right. This isn't some tiny niche energy source we're talking about. It's a potential titan. Okay, so we've seen the what and the where, but how does this all actually work? How do you get electricity out of a volcano? Well, the process is surprisingly simple and kind of beautiful. It really comes down to the name itself. Geo means earth and thermal means heat. Heat from the earth. Simple as that. The deeper you drill, the hotter it gets. Geothermal energy is just tapping into that natural, ever-present heat source.
So here's how that brilliant cycle works. First, water finds its way into underground reservoirs. Then, the immense heat from the Earth's core turns that water into super high-pressure steam. We drill wells to bring that steam up to the surface, where it's used to spin a turbine and generate electricity. And here's the best part. That cooler water is then pumped right back down to get reheated all over again. It's a continuous, renewable loop of clean energy. This all sounds pretty amazing, right? Clean, reliable power that runs 24/7. So that leads us to the big question. The whole point of this explainer, really, if this is so great, why are we leaving almost all of it in the ground?
Look at this. The gap between what's possible with geothermal and what we're actually using, it's enormous. We've got this massive clean power source that, on a global scale, we're basically ignoring.
So what's the holdup? Well, it's a classic dilemma, as you can see right here. The pros are they're incredible. Clean, renewable power that never stops. But the cons? Well, there's some pretty significant hurdles. We're talking massive upfront investment, really long development times, and even a small but real risk of triggering earthquakes.
And this quote, I think it just hits the nail on the head when it comes to the money problem. It is definitely a cash cow, but it takes a long time and people are impatient. Think about it from an investor's point of view. Sure, once a plant is up and running, it's a steady moneymaker for decades, but getting there costs a fortune in drilling and exploration, and it could take years before you see a single dollar in return. That impatience is a huge roadblock.
And the challenges, believe it or not, they don't stop with money. You've got cultural hurdles. In places like Indonesia, many of the best geothermal sites, volcanoes, are considered sacred ground. Then there are the social hurdles. It's tough to get people excited about green energy in regions where the entire economy is built on coal. And finally, we're running into hard technical limits. Our current drilling tech literally starts to melt once we get too deep, leaving most of the Earth's heat completely out of reach.
But let's end this by zooming all the way back out to the incredible scale of what we're really talking about. Because this final number, it's honestly mind-boggling.
According to estimates, the total thermal energy just sitting there in the Earth's core is 50,000 times greater than all of the planet's oil and natural gas reserves combined. Let me say that again. 50,000 times. It is, for all intents and purposes, a practically limitless supply of power.
So that's the ultimate question, isn't it? We have this immense clean power source literally right beneath our feet. What's it going to take for us to finally get serious about unlocking it? That is the $50,000 times question.